This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Ambassador in Imperium Chambers. Please hit the notification button for all up-to-date immigration news and advice on immigration law. Today I'm going to be talking about something which troubles a lot of people, which is how to become British or become a British citizen, something which carries with it a great deal of rights. In today's video I'm going to be discussing various ways in which migrants can become British citizens. This is a question that I am often asked and is often a natural consequence for individuals whom I've been able to get indefinite leave to remain for, or who've completed the end of their spouse visa, for example. The area in this law is a little complicated, so I thought the best way forward would be to produce a fairly short video on the subject. I do not intend to cover every single clause in this relevant law, as to do so would make this video very, very long and very, very boring, but to concentrate on what are the most common questions I'm asked and what are the most common ways that one can become a British citizen. If you would like any full advice on this matter, or help in obtaining British citizenship, or even wondering whether you can become a British citizen, then please get in touch with me and I'll do my best to help you. You never know, you might be entitled, your children might be entitled to, they may even be British, or they might be entitled to register as British. So if you're not sure, best to ask. So today now we're going to look at the different ways in which it's possible to become a British citizen. I'm going to use the shorthand British. The laws surrounding British nationality are very complex, largely due to the UK's lengthy and often controversial colonial history. There are lots of arrangements, special arrangements for people from ex-colonies, Ireland, overseas territories, which don't apply to the vast majority of migrants. So therefore I'm not going to go into all of the details here. If you do come from one of those, then obviously please get in touch. We're going to look at the 5 main ways that you can become British. At the start, I'd note that the UK does permit dual nationality, so that you can have a passport from the UK and other countries. However, it's worth remembering before applying for a passport that not all countries allow dual nationality. For example, India and Germany, to name but a couple. So if you are hoping to become British, you may have to renounce your other citizenship from another country, something you may want to carefully consider. While on the subject, Indians are allowed to become British, but rather than having dual nationality, can obtain something called overseas Indian citizenship, which gives them residency rights but not citizenship. The law who is or who can become a British citizen is covered under the British Nationality Act 1981, which came into force on the 31st of January 1983. It really revolutionised British nationality law. While there are some provisions, as I've mentioned, that are quite particular and don't apply to the vast majority of people, I've decided to concentrate on what does and on the main ways one can get British citizenship. So, British citizen by birth or descent is something that I'm often asked. Now, it's no longer as simple as it used to be. As I say, the 1981 Act is something that changed everything. Being born in the United Kingdom isn't good enough anymore. Becoming British by birth or descent are 2 distinct ways to become British, but there's a lot of overlap between them, so I'll be looking at them and considering them together. If you were born in the UK before January the 1st, 1983, and you've lived here long enough, you're considered British and can apply for a passport straight away. This is in essence what has happened to a lot of the people caught up in the Windrush scandal. People entered legally, they'd obtained their residency, and had British children, were told not to bother getting any documents, yet when the hostile environment came into force, a lot of British citizens were wrongly labelled as illegal, and some were even removed from the UK. Now, turning back to the law, if you were born on or after the 1st of January 1983 and your parents are British or settled, you will generally be British automatically by virtue of Section 1.1 of the British Nationality Act, which there is a caveat that I'll come to later. If you were born in the UK and one of your parents became British, then you ought to be entitled to be registered British under a minor under Section 1.3. There is a slight unfairness in that, which is say if your parents become British or settled, you can apply, but you have to pay a fee, which seems unfair to those people that automatically get it. Under Section 1.4 of the Nationality Act, if a child's lived in the UK for 10 years, then they can register as British. Now turning to British citizenship by descent, this is covered by Section 2 of the 91 Act. This is a peculiar provision and it's been found arguably to discriminate against certain people, in particular illegitimate people, and depends on whether you're British or your father was British or your mother was British. Let's start with those that have British mothers because they have an easier ride. If you were born outside the United Kingdom to a British mother who didn't inherit her citizenship, you're entitled to a passport, but you have to register as a British citizen first if you were born after the 1st of January 1983. If you were born after the 1st of January 1983, you can apply for a passport straight away. If you were born in or outside the United Kingdom after the 1st of January 1983 and your mother was British, at the time of your birth you are automatically British. Anyone who has a British mother, even if she has never been married, is a British citizen by descent as long as the mother was British at the time of your birth. Now let's turn to those people whose father was British. Now they're in a slightly trickier position or are under the statute. If you were born outside the United Kingdom to a British father who didn't inherit his citizenship, you are automatically British. If you were born outside the United Kingdom to an unmarried British father who didn't inherit its citizenship as opposed to someone that was married, the situation depends on when you were born. If you were born before 1st of July 2006, you have to register as a British citizen first, unless your country of birth considered you to be legitimate. If after the 1st of July you were born, you're automatically British. If you were born in or outside the United Kingdom to a British father on or after the 1st of July 2006 and your mother was not British, again you're still automatically British. Oddly, if your parents marry after you were born, even if you were born before the 1st of July 2006, you become British, which seems a bit strange in my view. However, there is a caveat to this, which is that the law in respect of illegitimacy was found to be unlawful in the case of Johnson in the Supreme Court. In that case, the British father, the individual was born before 1983, but his father was British but mother wasn't, and they found it was wrong to deny that the law was discriminatory because they were discriminating on the grounds that he was illegitimate. Registration as a British citizen as a minor. Now this is covered under Section 3 of the British Nationality Act. Section 3.1 allows the Secretary of State to register a child as British and gives it a very wide discretion as to who can be British or who can't. And indeed the Act is very quiet on this. There is some guidance as to this, and it's very important that if you're seeking to register somebody under Section 3.1, you make a proper application. Turning to citizens of British Overseas Territories or citizens of Commonwealth countries born before the 1st of January 1983 with a parent born in the UK, they may qualify as a British national. In addition, there is still the Windrush scheme, which is open to Commonwealth citizens who arrived in the United Kingdom before 1973 and their children, as well as nationals from any other country who arrived before 1989 and are settled in the United Kingdom. They can apply for settlement rights. Some of these routes are closing as they are mainly linked to the UK's colonial past. The following types of nationals are eligible for what's called the right of abode in the United Kingdom and UK citizenship. British Overseas Territory citizens, British Overseas citizens, British subjects, British nationals overseas, and British protected persons. And you might wonder what all these different British this, British that are. Now the reason for the creation of these different types of citizenship were that before the laws changed, they didn't entitle you to be a British citizen and live in the United Kingdom. All of that's changed and those people can qualify. Section 4 of the British Nationality Act 1981 covers registration for adults. Here we get into the sorts of routes for naturalisation or registration that I cover a lot in my other videos. These are the most common routes. Usually you have to have completed at least 5 or 10 years lawful residence in the UK or on the various routes to settlements, or 3 years if you're married to a British citizen. Once you've completed your time on a different route, you're entitled to apply for indefinite leave to remain, and then a year later British citizenship. This is probably the most common route to citizenship, and one that I find is most often used after someone has been granted British citizenship. Other routes which are vaguely related include being granted a visa on the basis of your marriage to a British person. This will usually involve waiting until the end of the 5-year probationary period. Having a British child can lead to registration as a British national, but again is very complicated. Again, another route which is often used is those people that complete either 5 years as a Tier 2 migrant or 5 years as a Tier 1 migrant, and then get 1 year's indefinite leave to remain, and then they can apply for nationality, or alternatively refugees who've completed the relevant period of time. These are the sorts of visas that spend most of our time helping people with in order to get British citizenship. It's, as I say, very complicated. And lastly, I'll turn to the last area, which is Section 6, subsection 1. This gives the Secretary of State the power to naturalise someone as an adult, more on a discretionary basis, subject to them meeting Schedule 1 of the British Nationality Act 1981. Who this applies to in general are people who are wrongly refused, say, indefinite leave to remain, then they appeal, and then they win their appeal and get indefinite leave to remain. They're able to apply for British citizenship without waiting the normal 12-month period on the basis of the fact that there had been an earlier error in refusing them indefinite leave to remain. This is, I think, hopefully covered in around 10 to 12 minutes some of the rough routes to getting to becoming British. The area of law is very complicated for some people. For some people it's very easy. If you have indefinite leave to remain and you're British and you have a child, the child's automatically British. So some people it's very easy. If you have a child born in the United Kingdom and they get to 10, then they can register, they've got a right to register as being British. However, Section 3, subsection 1 is far more complicated because it allows the Secretary of State a wide discretion to actually register a child as British, even if they don't have British parents or even if they haven't lived in the United Kingdom for 10 years. There is, as I say, extensive guidance on that, and any such application which can be made needs to be made properly. I hope this has given a rough overview of British citizenship and how one can apply. It is very complicated. If you are thinking of doing it, do get professional advice on it, because there are fees involved, unless obviously the child is automatically British, and I wouldn't want you to waste your fees by making an application that's not going to succeed. I hope this video has been of some use to some people. I'll be turning to other aspects of British citizenship, such as the need to have good character and filling in the form and what have you in another video. I think if I was to go on much longer, anyone still watching would fall asleep. I hope you stay safe during these dangerous times. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. This is Paul Turner, the Immigration Barrister at Imperium Chambers.